Hey, what up, everyone? I'm Sinnycool, and this is Gems of War. And today I want to start up a new kind of video. I may or may not keep going with it in the future, but I'm going to call this episode 1 of forum drama. So call me your like Keemstar or whatever. But whenever there's enough drama on the forum, I think I'll cover it. And because I know a lot of you all probably don't go to the forums, it looks like only about like 100 people go to these forums, maybe more. I don't know. Anyway, I know all of y'all don't go to the forums, but whenever something spicy is going down on the forums, I'm gonna talk about it. Maybe we'll see how this goes. But this one, we're gonna mostly be talking about: did the devs lie to us? I'm just question mark allegedly. I'm not calling anybody a liar here, and I want to start out by saying like the lie in question is something that was supposed to happen in the future, so that can't really be a lie. But is it? Is it not? You let me know in the comments. Like, I don't want to call anybody a liar. I don't want anybody to get in trouble. I don't want to, allegedly. I just want to allegedly this, okay? But this is about the Vault event. The Vault event that was supposed to happen, I think January 13th, was it? January 13th of January 13th of 2023. I almost said January 13th of January. Um, so supposedly we're supposed to have a Vault event on January 13th, 2023. Now, why do we think this? Because the schedule, if you break it down, and somebody did that here, and I'll probably show it to you in a second. Somebody broke down like the time periods in between all the vault events for the last like year, and if you follow that schedule, we were supposed to have a vault event on January 13th, 2023, right? And if you look at Terran's World, which I do every single weekend, so you can't tell me what I saw or didn't see. There was a vault event scheduled on January 13th, 2023, and then they changed it to an arena event, right? Everybody remember that? So it was like two months ago, maybe 2 months ago, on one of my spoiler videos or one of my live streams or something. If you go back, you'll hear me reading the spoilers, and I say that a vault event is going to happen on January 13th. So I saw that with my own eyeballs. And now Terran's World is not Gems of War, and Gems of War is not Terran's World. Terran's World is in a website run by a completely different person that has nothing to do with Gems of War, right? And but they pull data from the game. So that's why everybody trusts it so much, trusts Terran's World so much, because they're pulling data straight from the game to show us spoilers for stuff that's going to happen in the near future. So anytime I'm reading the Terran's World spoilers, that stuff pulled straight from the game, data from the game. And so Terran's World pulled this data from the game, and it said Vault event in January 13th, right? So they had a vault event planned for January 13th. This is where the lie comes in, I think. But who knows? Because it's something in the future. Like, you can't lie about something that didn't happen in the future. I don't know. So, like, right here, Kafka trying to tell us that there never was a vault event planned for January 13th, right? So, but yes, there was, because Terran's World pulled it from the game data. Why would Terran's World just make stuff up? They don't just like guess. They don't just type in stuff on their website based on like history. They pull data from the game and then they post it on their. And then it's spoilers. They don't even have to do anything. Like, it pulls straight from the game, right? Anyway, look right here. Here's the other evidence. So if you don't like, okay, whatever, they can change events, and they're not lying, because they could change whatever they want to change, and it could be whatever they want it to be. It hasn't happened yet, so it's not a lie. Well, look here on January 13th weekend, we had a Gnome Vault offer. Now, if you know how offers work, it's kind of based on whatever event is going on. So if there's a vault event going on, they're going to offer you gnome bait, curse gnome bait, epic vault keys, pet gnome bait. They're going to offer you stuff similar to what the event that's going on. So if there's a Tower of Doom event going on, they'd probably offer you like scrolls for your doomed weapons, right? Or if there was I don't know, I can't think of another event where it would be like applicable, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if there's an event on the weekend or the week, like, the offers usually coincide with the event. They're not just going to give us Gnome Vault um offers on a non-vault weekend. Like, why would they? Why? That's not a thing. Whenever there's a vault event, we get these type of offers. So there were these type of offers from January 13th through to January 15th. So that's another clue or more evidence that we were supposed to have a vault event on January 13th, 2023. Because that whole weekend, this was running. This offer here was running. So let's see what they're saying. And I don't know if I'm just going to stick to this as my thing for the drama or if I'm going to go look at some other stuff on the forum. But I think this is a pretty big topic right now, the vault event that we were supposed to have one on January 13th. And the devs are saying that no, there was never one scheduled. And we all know, like I know why. I know why they didn't have a vault event on January 13th. And I'll let y'all know that in a second. But all right, so I got everything from Kafka pulled up because Kafka was the one like responding to people when they were talking about where's this vault event that was supposed to be scheduled. She said there wasn't going to be a vault event in January. Oh, there wasn't? Oh, okay. So what did Terrence World? Where did Terrence World pull that data like out of their butt? Did they just type stuff up and whatever they feel like typing up on their? They don't even type like they pull it from directly from the game and it goes directly. You know what I'm saying? Now there is, so yes, this is an extra vault event. Now she's talking about how they're going to do an extra, quote unquote, vault event after the Kingdom Pass is over. But how is it an extra vault event if we skipped a vault event? Now for like, if I'm going to defend the devs, which I will here and there, I'll defend the devs by saying this. Last year we had more, it felt like we had way more vault events than we've ever had before. So if they were going to skip one vault event this year to make up for however many we had last year, why don't they say this? Why do they got to be like so creepy and weird and like shady? Shady's the word. Why do they got to be so shady about everything? Like all they had to say about this vault event was there's a Kingdom Pass running right now. We can't do a vault event because you know what happens when we have a battle crasher running during a vault event. We don't know what to do with that, sorry, so we had to postpone the vault event while the Kingdom Pass was going on. That's all they had to say. And then they could have added on to that even more by saying, you know, you guys got some extra vault events last year. I know we just had the Chris Crinkle thing, and y'all think you should get an extra vault event. But if you take that out of the equation, this would be what the devs should say. I'm pretty good at like I should have been a lawyer or something. Like I'm pretty good at like arguing both sides of everything. But if I was a developer right now, if I was Kafka right now, I don't know if she said this since because this was like 8 days ago. But she should have said, yes, there was a vault event scheduled for January 13th, but the Kingdom Pass is running right now, so we cannot do a vault event with the Kingdom Pass running because you know how the last Battle Crasher, the last crown, kind of interferes with the gnomes and everything, and we don't want to. We want to give you the best vault event that we can with the new Dragonite gnomes and everything. So we don't want to, you know, mess up your vault event. So we're going to reschedule it for later. Oh, and by the way, remember last year in 2022 when we gave you like way more vault events? You remember that? That's what Kafka should have said. But the problem is that she, you know, is dealing with the bans and the Chris Crinkle thing that just happened and everything. So it's kind of hard to like snap back at people with the right kind of snapback when you're already in the wrong about all the bans and stuff. But we'll be running an extra vault event weekend once the Kingdom Pass has finished. This way everyone can play with their usual play time but get the extra rewards during the event that otherwise wouldn't have happened. Yes, it would have. January 13th. It also means you'll get an assortment of rewards from the gnomes and amounts more respective of your individual playtime rather than us sending compensation average free gems per day. So people were talking about like how we should have got more compensation for the bans, which I totally agree with. That's another drama alert freaking Gems of War forum thing. The compensation that was given out for the bans, for the Chris Crinkle bans, I think everybody should have got like more. Everybody, even the people that didn't get banned. Because we were walking around on eggshells the whole week. So the only people, just because somebody was banned doesn't mean they're the only ones that were affected by the bans. Like everybody else was affected by the bans too. Their guild, like people were banned from their guild. They weren't getting as much stuff done. Maybe somebody got kicked out of the guild and they had to find somebody else. Maybe you were walking on eggshells trying not to get banned that whole week, so you were playing less. Like that's for that was the one true for me. That was the one true for me. I was walking around on eggshells all week trying not to get banned. Because I know, like, listen to me right now talking about how they're lying about this VOD event. You think they want to unban me super fast? So I was trying not to get banned. But, you know, so I think, like, the banning kind of brought up the, let's do an extra VOD event compensation thing, which also put a magnifying glass on, like, when's the next VOD event, by the way, which people looked into, and then it was supposed to be January 13th. And then they changed that to an arena event, and now they're telling us they're giving us an extra vault event after the Kingdom Pass is over. But how can it even be extra if you skip the whole vault event? You're just giving us back the one that you skipped, and then we're going to get our next one, because by the time we get the first one, the next one should have been happening. So the only way you're going to give us an extra vault event is if you have like 3 in a row. So, and I don't think that's what's going to happen. Date is still to be advised. We will announce it through the blog like the regularly scheduled events. So they're claiming this extra vault weekend is like compensation for the Kris Kringle thing, but it's not extra. They're skipping a vault event and then giving it to us. Like that's like in a store where they have a sale. This is what the devs are doing right now. You go into a store and it's like 75% off. 75% off this shirt or these panties. So these panties are now 75% off. But the day before, they marked them up like 75%. So they mark everything up 75%, and then they have a 75% off sale. So it's basically the same price. But this is even worse because we should have already had a vault event. And now they're saying we're getting an extra vault event. I don't know. They're calling it, that's our compensation. The vault event that we should have already had. We hear your feedback about our global compensation. Yeah, I mean, they should have gave out way more, like faster. People got banned. Let's wait. Make them wait. Make them wait for their compensation. Give them this a little bit of gems here. And don't give anything to the people that didn't get banned. Because we don't have any empathy for anybody. There wasn't going to be a vault event in January. That's the worst part. That's what this whole video is based around, basically. That statement right there. There wasn't going to be a vault event in January. And then, boom. No vault. I think they even like closed this thread. It was hard to find. This thread was hard to find. By the way, I had to like look up Kafka and then look up everything she said and then look at everybody that replied to her. Like it wasn't easy to find. And this person posted this like, what? This weekend offer says otherwise, cracking up. There wasn't going to be a vault event in January? This weekend offer says otherwise, cracking up, Let's go back up to where we were, though. Okay, said that. All right, this feels like gaslighting. There was going to be a vault event this weekend until it was changed to Arena. And yes, the schedules change, I get it, but we did expect there to be a vault event in January, both from the schedule itself and by the by the interval since the previous one. Exactly. So there's more than one thing saying there should have been a vault event on January. There's 3 things that said there should have been a vault event on January 13th. And women lie, men lie, but like numbers don't lie, right? And facts don't lie. And stuff pulled straight from the game doesn't lie. So Terran's World pulled it straight from the game. That's number 1. It showed us January 13th supposed to be a vault event. Pulled it straight from the game. Then the offers that they put out on that weekend. There was supposed to be a vault event going on that weekend. And they pulled it from the offers that were, I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but who cares? If you don't like it, then don't watch. But the offers for that weekend said it was supposed to be a vault event. And then the interval of time that we had between vault events said it was supposed to be a vault event on January 13th that weekend. So that's 3 different things saying that we should have had a vault event that weekend. She said, now there is, except that once the Kingdom Pass is finished, it's early February, not January. And by that time, we'll be a month overdue for a vault event anyway. So again, I ask, how is this extra? Exactly. Kafka, what you're saying about a vault event in January does not match your once the Kingdom Pass is finished remark. I think that is why some people are confused. This weekend offer says otherwise. Yep. That was the biggest red flag right there. Well, to be fair, what Kafka meant was that they canceled the January vault event even prior to the Crinklemas issue, but it is quite funny that they forgot to remove the vault event related flash offer. So she's saying there was never going to be a vault event in January. That's not true though. There was, and then they canceled it. They should have told us that they canceled it. But the whole thing is like the Crinklemas thing, right? Happened like at the worst possible time. So they're just gonna act like there never was a vault event. They did a kingdom pass instead for an old kingdom, which nobody wants. Like everybody would rather have a vault event than the kingdom pass. But they forgot, oh, when we do a kingdom pass, the vault event gets all messed up, so we can't do the vault event until the kingdom pass is over. They're like, oh crap, now we had this Crinklemas thing happen. Oh yeah, but the gnome, the related flash offer, this is like perfect. This is perfect right here. I wish I could make it bigger. Here's everybody laughing at the devs, you know. All right, 8 days ago. If you've gone and pulled unannounced information from unfinalized game data, you're basically asking me to address something that isn't going to happen. It may as well not exist, except for it was something they pulled from your game. I could write anything in the schedule and it won't mean anything until we announce it is finished. I could absolutely ridiculous stuff in there, it would mean nothing. I mean, that's what I was saying, like on the other side of things, like it hasn't happened yet, so you can't really lie about something that hasn't happened yet. It's exactly like complaining unannounced troops aren't balanced or they're using the same troop art as an existing troop because they're not finished or announced. No, it's not, because we have events on a schedule and it's the scheduled time for this event and it's not happening. That's nothing to do with an unfinished troop. There was not going to be a vault event in January at all. I mean, your game said otherwise until you changed it. And according to the offer that was that whole weekend for a vault event that didn't happen, and according to like the intervals in between events, it was supposed to happen. But okay, there was not going to be a vault event in January at all. Now there is going to be one between now and when the next one is actually scheduled, so it is an extra vault event. But you skipped a vault event, so it's not extra. It's just the one you skipped. If you're someone who goes looking for unfinished spoilers, you need to take it with a grain of salt because nothing you find in the unannounced game data is set in stone until we announce it is. So it's a bit weird to complain about it. I mean, we should have a schedule. It's a bit weird to not have a schedule for events, though. That's a bit weird, too. Like, we should have vault events every 5 weeks, or every 6 weeks, or every 7 weeks. Because that's like the most desired event, so everybody's looking forward to it. So we want to know, like Christmas is on the 25th of December every year. Vault events should be every 5 weeks, or every 6 weeks, or every 7 weeks, and stick to it. Schedule everything else around vault events. It's the only thing that brings more people to your game. It would help you as well. So that's kind of BS that you're going to say, you know, unfinished spoilers when the game's been out for 6 years. So events they should be set in stone by now. The vault event is the most desired event. It should be like Christmas, where it happens on December 25th, except for every 5 weeks or whatever. So that's some bullcrap right there. And you should take spoilers with a grain of salt, though. Like, I can go back and forth on both sides. So she's right about the grain of salt thing, but she's wrong in that the vault event should happen on a interval. It shouldn't be like the next vault event doesn't exist until, so we're never going to have a vault event again just because it's not, it's going to happen eventually. It should be on a schedule. They need to schedule stuff better. Of course, if you want to complain about the compensation, about the fact that there was such a long time planned between vault event, that makes sense. But complaining about something that literally wasn't going to happen because you pulled a work in progress event schedule that wasn't completed or announced anywhere doesn't make any sense. I mean, why was there a offer on that weekend for a vault event if there was never going to be a vault event? That is kind of weird. But anyway, I think that's it from that. 13 replies. Here we go. Let's check these out. So I hope you can't hear the stupid mowing the grass people in the background. This person says, hi, Kafka. So by reading between the lines, I get the idea that you also think now that the gap between vault events has been stretched. I remember there used to be roughly one vault event per month, but now it seems it's become longer and longer. Was this intentional? Yeah, it used to be like one every 5 weeks. This person says, fine, why was there such a long time planned between vault events? So what date will the vault event be? But player compensation apparently works this way since due to not having a fixed vault schedule, all we are getting here is trust me, this one is extra. Yeah, just trust me, it's extra. It's 75% off, even though we marked it up 75% yesterday. Silver scale. Okay, different question then. Why do you punish us with running an arena event again? Dude, that's a great point. We had two arena events in like 3 weeks. That was ridiculously weird. So we were supposed to have a vault event, and they ran an arena event. We were going to have like... Weren't we going to have like a vault... We're going to have some sort of event on Christmas, and they changed it to arena. And then they changed the... I don't know. They've been changing stuff. I think we've suffered enough with the whole crinkleness and lack of adequate compensation. Arena weekend is terrible. We just had one. Buff the event or drop it. Yeah. You do understand that this is exactly what 99% of those complaints are about. Not about specific date or something. Not about something we have seen on third-party sites. It really isn't about that. The last vault was on the 2nd of December. 13 January marks 6 weeks interval. As we have 6 weekend events, Faction Assault, Arena, Vault, Raid Boss, Invasion, Bounty, it's a very reasonable expectation that we will get a Vault event at around every 5, 6, 7 weeks, which means 13 or 20 January. It is very reasonable for us to expect that because as someone pointed out there in the thread, the 5, 6, 7 weeks has been the normal interval between Vault weekends for a long, long time. This is what you, meaning the persons responsible for scheduling in the game, taught us to expect. Don't feel surprised that we are angry, frustrated, and dissatisfied that you are talking about extra vault events, that we haven't even had the normal one within the usual time frame. It's really not about looking at an unfinished schedule, unfinished troops, or anything like that, exactly. So yes, extending intervals between vault weekends when it's one of the few events, if not the only one, that allow new players to catch up even a little with those playing much, much longer is a big problem. There's going to be one between now and when the next one is actually scheduled. Please provide us the date of the one that is actually scheduled. And since they do provide a date. It's like February 17th or something. Okay, here we go with Icy. Seriously, you don't cease to amaze with excuses. I really would like to find some common ground, understand things out of your perspectives, but to be honest, many things mentioned, not only regarding above answers, seem shady. I said shady earlier. Please realize that my above list that clearly shows the development of weeks in between vault events is getting longer and longer. I mean the weeks within it takes, not the actual list getting longer, just to be completely clear for any dullard. And if not directly, enough for you or the other mentioned accounts, it basically asks about why that may be the case. When we had years long of nearly the same duration of time between vault events, the first spike was clearly around a year ago, and if that once in the game files vault event really never was planned in any way, giggles intensify. Should we assume that an even longer stretch time period between vault events awaits us in the future, or is it just an anomaly? Hard to believe, but I guess the players have to until another possible untruthfulness can be proven. Or maybe it all works out and actual communication improves. Who knows? Endless possibilities, yes. Another question that pops up, why was it possible to change the Christmas event, even though it being scheduled, announced, and all the other fancy words you've thrown out, wasn't it promised and displayed in-game already? I don't know why I can't read this person's writing. If you've gone and pulled unannounced information, this isn't about unannounced information from unfinalized game data. This is about the current in-game event pop-up saying arena event when it should be saying vault event. Weekend events have a very fixed cycle in Gems of War. There's Invasion, Raid Boss, Bounty, Arena, Faction, and Vault. And while some might change place within a cycle, there's never been one left out in the past years. So when the most popular one, Vault, suddenly goes missing, it shouldn't be the least surprising for the community manager team that people are asking what is going on. It's a bit weird to complain about it, said Kafka. It feels more than just a bit weird that very valid questions get treated as complaint and hand-waved away in a very unprofessional way. What happened to the Vault schedule? Oh, stop complaining. It wasn't feedback, it was questions. Feedback is something that disappears in some black hole, never to be heard of again. Questions are something that involves communication in both directions. There was not going to be a Vault event in January at all. Now there is going to be one. I take it there also isn't going to be a regular vault event in February as well, because then we'd have a compensation and a regular one back to back. And since there won't have been a regular vault event in 3 months by then, there's little reason to believe we'll ever return to the event cycle, especially considering how questions that touch this topic get treated. Was there going to be an announcement about that? Or is this also considered unannounced information from unfinalized game data? Players are expected to hopefully catch on to later than sooner. For the feedback part, please consider returning vault events to the event cycle. Tarot cards are already heavily pay gated. Without a way to farm vault keys, this is another $1,000 paywall. You might give a schedule for events in 2023 so we wouldn't go defining from unfinalized game data. Divining. All right, this person said before, and I'll say again, that there's a level of sympathy that should be shared, as working on the front lines without having the direct ability to make changes is rough. I've been yelled at in person to make it even more pleasant more times than I could ever care to admit in 20 plus years of working with the public. But the one thing you can't do, and the one thing I always stress as a manager, is you can't treat your customers like they're stupid. Ignoring any third-party sites with spoilers, there's been a well-established rotation of events that has lasted long enough for anyone to make a reasonable expectation that in a span of X number of weeks, we'll have Y number of events. While saying nothing is final until it's final is technically correct, its rationale comes at the cost of the justified skepticism this post is getting. There's a dedicated user base here that has kept this game up and running for far longer than many of its contemporaries. See Square Enix for any number of examples. Part of having that dedicated user base is there should also be the expectation that these unannounced changes aren't going to go unnoticed. In the financial industry, I couldn't control the rates, fees, or if you'd be approved for that loan. Those get decided several levels from the front lines. What I could do was control the environment in which our customers interacted with us. Our customers have had no shortage of other banks to take their business. We traded on our level, blah, blah, blah. This response was poor and reads like a combination of frustration and talking points from others as a suggestion to quiet the crowd. Gaslighting comes with such an extraordinary connotation these days, but this reads as showing very little faith in your user base to have even an ounce of analytical thought. This missed the mark. Earlier posts showed a sense of urgency and contrition. This reads as quite the opposite, disappointing. How do you still have a job? Well, anyway, I better cut it there. This is getting way too long. But yeah, the devs pretty much allegedly lied about a vault event was supposed to happen on January 13th. They had an offer that whole weekend that would go along with the vault event, but they still claim that there wasn't supposed to be a vault event. And if you look at the intervals between events, like there should be a certain schedule for events, like everybody was saying, it should have been a vault event around that time too. So every sign is pointing to there was supposed to be a vault event on January 13th, and the developer right here is saying that there was never ever was supposed to be a vault event on that day. Never ever. They didn't say it's been canceled, and, no, they just said never ever. So, like I said earlier, they could have argued back way better, but instead they just decided to allegedly lie. So, it is what it is. Let me know what you think about this video. I know it's a little long and I repeated myself a bunch. I'll try to do better in the future. But this has been episode 1 of Forum Drama for Gems of War. Like, share, subscribe, consider joining. Helps a lot. Get up on the channel, comment below. And I will see y'all next time. Peace.